Assalamualaikum and hi. We are from Group 4 to discuss about our financial reporting. Alright, first of all, my name is Muhammad Imam Karib bin Mat Kamal and our friend Ahmad Syami bin Zamzam, Nur Ain Syafiqah binti Muhammad Saidi, Sutakon Silapon and the last Syakir Amzah bin Syahri. So basically, the first question, prepare the journal entry, record the expenditure in cross-period sequence. So basically, for building, for 2018, 1 March, building, our debit, 5,287,47, and then debit and credit, and then the 15 mark, repair and maintenance, debit 1,750 ringgit, debit and credit, repair for debit and cash for credit. So for 15 May, additional building, 530,000, and the second credit cash. So basically, the total amount for expenditure for building new cost 5,287,047 ringgit plus 530,000. So basically, the total amount is 5,817,047 ringgit. Alright, next question. Question number 2. So basically calculate the new annual depreciation. So we take a total number 5,287,47 ringgit and we divide for original useful life 10 years, and before that's additional useful life after replacement 2 years. So that's mean before that have a cost for replacement 150,000, and then we plus the new account original and the replacement 150,000, and plus the useful life 2 years, so that's mean 12 years. So the total up, we divide 5,437 ringgit 47 ringgit divide by 12, so that's mean per year depreciation 453,387 ringgit 25 cents. Alright, question number 3. Prepare the journal entry to record the revolution of the building at the end of 2022. So that's mean the first, we do the sum calculation about debit and credit in journal, and then without the week 1 depreciation per year we count, and then 20,000 by divide by 2 years, so we get a 1,057,490 ringgit 40 cents. So profit on revaluation, we minus dengan 5.6 million and divide minus by 5.437 million 47 cent, and we get a profit on revaluation 162,953. So that's mean uh W2 we take as 2020, so we do the journal and the original cost we plus the 202, 5,287,47 plus 150 for the new carrying amount, and then we get a 5.4 million 337 47 ringgit, and then we depreciation, we do the depreciation, we divide by 12, so we get the answer that. So number 4, prepare the journal entry, record the disposal. So we take a cost of building 5.6 million and useful life 7 years, and we divide, we get 800,000 per year. So that's mean accumulated depreciation per year is 800,000. So cash 1.3 million 50,000, uh, debit and accumulated depreciation debit, and unrealized gain on revaluation building, we get credit for building 1 per 4, so that's mean 1.4 millions, and gain of disposal we take before this 550,000, and return earning 200,000. So the total out debit and credit is balance.
My name is Nur Ain Shafiqah binti Muhammad Saidi. My metric number is 058764. For the question of number 5, calculate the amount of interest that capitalized in 2020 and prepare the journal entries. To calculate the amount of interest, first we need to calculate the actual interest. For the actual interest, 400,000 multiply with 8% of interest and multiply with 9 months equal to 24,000. Next, we need to calculate the avoidable interest. First, 227,000 multiplied with 8% equal to 18,160. So, the interest that capitalized in 2020 is 18,160. Question B, calculate the amount interest that capitalized in 2021 and prepare the journal entries. For the step 1 is calculate the actual interest. To calculate the actual interest, 400,000 multiplied with 8% of interest equal to 32,000. And the next, we need to calculate the avoidable interest. 82,094 multiplied with 8% of interest equal to 6,568. Thus, the interest that capitalized in 2021 is 6,568. Number 6, analyze whether the company should report an impairment loss of 100,000. The impairment loss should be recognized if the carrying amount of the machine exceeds its recoverable amount. The carrying amount of its machine 68,500 and the recoverable amount is 75,000. Since the carrying amount is lower than the recoverable amount, there is no need to report an impairment loss. Number 7. Explain how the government grant received in 2022 that need to be reported. In the case of Pinewood Berhad receiving a government grant in 2022 which is intended to defray the cost of purchasing equipment, the grant should be recognized as income in a systematic manner over the period necessary to match the grant with the related cost. That is the intended to be compensated. The government grant income should be recognized as income systematically over the period that the related costs, which the grant is intended to compensate, are required. In this case, the grant is meant to defray the cost of purchasing research equipment over its useful life as a 5-year.
Auzubillahiminasyaitonirrajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and very good morning. My name is Ahmad Syahmi bin Zamzam. My metric number is AAT10503. I will continue for the answer for number 8A. What is the realizable value or NRV? So this is the estimate selling price in the ordinary cost of business minus the estimate cost of competition and the estimate cost necessary to make the sale. Okay, for the answer number 8B, so the inventory may have a value lower than their cost to various such as obsolescence, damage, expiration, changes in market demand, or competitive factor. So in the MFRS 102, require inventory to be measured at the lower of cost and NRV. This means that if the NRV is lower than the cost, the inventory should be written down to its NRV, resulting in a decrease in the value of the inventory. Okay, subsequent measure model adopted by Pinewood Berhad to account for the pattern is revolution model according to MFRS paragraph 7138 paragraph 75. Evaluation model is only permit if and only if the value of the intangible asset could be determined by reference to an active market for intangible asset. So okay, for the number 10, we need to prepare 3 journal entries for the amortization expense, which is first patent, and we need to debit patent and credit cash with amount 6 million. For the second, We need to put the amortization expense as debit and credit accumulated expenses pattern with amount 1 million to 200,000. For the third, pattern must be debit and credit revaluation surplus with amount 4 million.
Prepare journal entry necessary to record the cost of the patent, amortization expense, and increase in market fair value of the patent in 2022. 2022 amortization expense, we get 6 million divided 5 years, we get 1.2 million. The debt carrying amount 6 million minus 1.2 multiply for 2 years, we get 3.6 million. And for the fair value is 2 million. And after that, we need open the journal entry with the debit is amortization expense, and for the credit, accumulated expense for first journal, and the value is 3.6 million. And for the second journal, we need to open is revaluation shortage is the debit, and the patent is the credit, and the value is 8 million. 12. Prepare journal entry necessary to record the cost of the customer list and implementation expense in 2022. Customer list cost 40% multiply RM 560,000, we get RM 224,000. Implementation expense RM 24,000 multiply 9 divided by 12, we get RM 168,000. After that, we need to open the journal entry. For the first account is debit is customer list and the credit is cash with the value for debit and credit 224,000. For the second journal entry is amortization expense for the debit and accumulated amortization for the credit with the value debit and credit is 168,000. After that, for the question 13, discuss whether the director view about the amortization and impairment test of the trademark is in line with the requirement of M- MFRS 138 intangible asset or not. The director of Pinewood VHD consider the impairment test should only be performed when the trademark is renewed and the trademark Pinewood should be amortized according to the factor presented. This perspective does not, however, conform to the standard of MFRS 138 intangible asset. According to MFRS 138, intangible asset having a defined useful life should be amortized typically throughout the course of the useful life, whether or not the trademark is being renewed. MRS 138 mandate impairment assessment. Regardless of the renewal period, the corporation should follow the standard instruction by methodically amortizing the trademark during its useful life and conducting impairment tests as appropriate.
Hi, my name is Tokan Sapon and my metric number is A22B1301. Today I'm going to present for the question number 14. For the journal entries for question number 14, account customer list will be debit and cash will be credited with amount 224,000. And the next is amortization expenses should be debit and accumulated amortization should be credited with the amount 168,000. Since the trademark has an indefinite use life, it will not be amortized over time. As there is no evidence or indication of impairment at the end of the accounting year, Pinewood Berhad is not required to conduct an impairment test for the trademark on 31st December 2022. Impairment testing should be performed if there are indicators of impairment such as significant adverse changes in the business environment, legal factors, or other events that may impact the value of the trademark. The next part is question number 15. Goodwill is the excess of the purchase price over the fair value of net asset acquired. In this case, the fair value of net asset is 200,000 higher than the book value. So to calculate the goodwill is equal to purchase price minus fair value of the net asset. So the fair value of net asset is 700,000 ringgit plus with 200,000 ringgit. So the purchase price is 1,100,000 ringgit. So to calculate the goodwill, need to take the purchase price, which is 1,100,000 ringgit minus the 900,000 ringgit. We will get the goodwill in amount of 200,000 ringgit. Next is calculate the net indefeasible assets, which we need to take the fair value of the net assets minus the monetary liabilities. So for the fair value of net asset as what I said is 900,000. We need to minus with the monetary liabilities, which is 500,000. So we will get the answer is 400 ringgit thousand. Next, we need to calculate the carrying amount. The carrying amount of the Jati Rustic division can be calculated by adding the net indefeasible assets and the recognized goodwills. So we will take, to find the carrying amount, we need to take the net indefeasible asset plus with the goodwills, which is the net identifiable assets is 400,000 plus with 200,000. So the carrying amount will get 600,000. For the last question is ask us to determine the correct allocation of the impairment loss of the statement given above. So the answer is the company's senior accountant claims that the board of directors did not apply MFRS 136 impairment of assets to the accounting approach used to allocate the divisions of impairment loss. The attributions of the loss to the buildings, which has the largest carrying values, is the source of the controversy. A pro rata allocation of an impairment loss must be made inside a cash generating unit under MFRS 136 in order to treat all assets equally and consistently. This method gives a more realistic picture of each asset's unique recoverability and takes into account the effects of impairments of all assets. So we must distribute the impairment loss across the assets in accordance with their carrying values in order to figure out the correct allocation. So for the carrying amount given is building is 500,000 ringgit, equipment is 300,000 ringgit, inventory is 200,000 ringgit. So 1 million in carrying amount for overall. We divide the carrying amount to each asset by the sum of carrying amounts to determine the allocation percentage of each asset. So the carrying amount over total carrying amount equal to allocation percentage. So building allocation percentage is 500,000 ringgit per 1 million. We will get 50%, and equipment allocation percentage will take 300,000 ringgit over 1 million, we will get 30%, and inventory allocation percentage will take 200,000 ringgit per 1 million, we will get 20%. We may now divide into 200,000 impairment loss across the assets in accordance with the percentage that represent each asset. So allocation of impairment losses, building 50%, times with 200,000 ringgit, we will get 100,000 ringgit. And for equipment is we take 30% times with 300,000 ringgit, we'll get 60,000 ringgit. And for the last one is inventory, we'll take 20% times with 200,000 ringgit, we'll get 40,000 ringgit. So that's all for today. Thank you.